my visual. So my lesson today is, why am I camera? Okay, is how to dress for success. I know that seems like a really basic thing, but I've been doing my lessons plans off of this book, which is really good if you ask, Brother Shooty gave it to me. But yeah, I know I'm not dressed for success, and it's on purpose. So Jonah, can you stand up and go to the front of the room for me, please? Okay, so obviously every profession has appropriate attire. Okay, alright, I didn't hear it, but okay, every profession has appropriate attire. And so for Jonah's attire, this would be in like standards if you're a teacher. He has a tie, his hair is cut, he's not like a beard and stuff. The slippers, because those are definitely not him. That's okay, he has shoes on. Yeah, oh my gosh. And so then, yeah, he's in standards. For me, if I was teaching, this would be acceptable actually for like gym class, but nothing else, like I wouldn't be acceptable for a teacher. I mean, I could teach like this, but my students wouldn't respect me. So like, why do you guys think that attire is so important in the classroom? Eric?
Well, a lot of times it is just another further way to show kind of authority and gain the respect of the students.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. Yeah, the book. Okay, Johnny, you'd sit down.
I memorized the book last night. So.
Oh, thanks. So the objective for this lesson is students will effectively explain how and why you should dress appropriately as a teacher. Okay, now this thing doesn't want to work. So, wait, it's sorry. Oh, there you go. Okay, so like Eric said, you're treated as you're dressed. So you don't get a second chance on a first impression. Like that's super important when you are a teacher, and especially going into a new classroom with students you don't know. Like your impression is everything. You're not going to walk in the classroom with short shorts on and a tank top because your students are obviously not going to respect you that way. Tuli, as being a teacher that teaches already, how do you feel about attire and how like your kids when they go to school, how their teachers should be dressed?
Quite honestly, like in an elementary school class, I don't see this being the everyday attire. Because I think if students were to see somebody like that, I don't think that I think the student would be more intimidated. Because yeah, that is an authoritative figure that's not approachable. That's just, so I would do more of the semi-professional towards casual because students feel more comfortable around that. Children feel more comfortable around that than to feel so timid.
Yeah, Jonah's dressed as like a college professor. He's pretty much Dr. Shoot today. But like Tilly's correct. Like in elementary schools, that's like you can be more chill about how you dress and stuff. This book has like a fashion code for like different seasons, different like things you should wear, different outfits. It's actually pretty cool. Huh?
Did Tim Gunn write that part?
Did I what?
Tim Gunn, did he write that part of the book, the fashion?
I'm not sure.
After what month do you not wear black?
Yeah, seriously. I was like, what the heck? I don't even know this stuff. So when you're dressing for your class, you're dressing for form and effects, and that's respect, credibility, acceptance, and authority. So you want your students to respect you. You want them to know that you're in charge, but not like, don't look really weird. You want to have acceptance in your class because you want your students to feel comfortable in your class. And so for example, like a salesperson. So if a salesperson at a car dealership is going to, I don't know, sell a car, okay, that's what he's selling, then if he sees like, let's say Jack walk inside the car, he's gonna look at him and he's gonna try to sell a car to him, and he's gonna know he can sell a car to Jack because what Jack's wearing is we can rip him off. He's not dressed professionally, he doesn't really care about his clothing. Whereas if Jonah walked in, he would be like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about, so I really have to pay attention to what I say when I'm selling this car. So it like makes a difference of what you're wearing sometimes, if that makes sense. So like,
Jack's got a tattoo though.
yeah, see, and he's got a tattoo, so he totally knows this guy's done something wrong. His credit score's probably down. And so, so that's the first section of is you are treated as you dress. So the second section there's two sections. The second section would be your walking advertisement. So you're a role model to your students, not just the way you dress, but the way you act as well in the classroom when you're in front of it. Most of the time though, the way you dress is the way you act. That's just a common thing that's known. Even if you're not a teacher, like if you go to McDonald's, you have to dress a certain way. Like if you work at, I'm trying to think like other ones. Pretty much fast food have uniforms, that's why. Like if you work at Payless or something, you have these uniforms that you have to wear, and people look to you to know about shoes, to look to you to know about making burgers. Like you're a role model for what your job is and what you're wearing. And so the most important word when being an advertisement is appropriate. Like are the things you're doing appropriate for your students. When you walk into a classroom, you've just made a statement. So when you walk into a classroom late, you've made a statement to your students that you don't care. When you walk into a classroom early, you're making a statement to your students that you do care what they're doing and that like they're important to you. So it just coincides with the way you dress as well. So the thing said most importantly is that you need to be a role model and have correct standards for your students. That's why I think BYU is such a good school, because our teachers have the same standards as us and they dress the same way. Whereas like in high school I had one teacher one time, she walked in and she had a mini dress and she was very young, and it was just really bad because like that just distracts the students. It distracts them a lot, especially like if you're teaching high school and you're dressed in a miniskirt, that distracts the students a lot, like a lot. But if you're like teaching elementary, it's still inappropriate, but it's not as bad because they don't really care what you wear. You know what I mean? There's a difference. So how many of you have had like a bad experience with a teacher and their like dressing? To explain.
Oh, Eric can talk.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I have two. One, there was my 7th grade math teacher.
Mm-hmm.
She came in a different outfit every day, and she was always like expert in cloth. Like she looked almost kind of like a fake person, which was good, but it made it very like unapproachable. It made it seem like I don't want to ask her any questions. She's like too prim and proper, you know. And then the other one was also in junior high. There was a teacher who similarly was not dressed appropriately for being a teacher at a junior high, where adolescent minds start wandering. Her shirt kept on like coming open, and you're just like, oh, I can't pay attention to English right now.
Yeah, that's really important. When I was in high school, I did speech and debate, and like I did it for a lot of years. And the thing we would like lose on, like we would be so smart and we would know what we were talking about. And then when we'd read the ballots, they'd be like, you lost because your skirt was too short, and you know what you're supposed to be wearing, or your legs were open, and we couldn't focus. Like it's about dressing. Like you can get a teacher, you can get a job by the way you dress. So it's like really important, and I don't know, I just picked it as a lesson because a lot of people like kind of simps them over it, like they think they know what it's about, and I didn't know a lot of things after reading this. Like I was telling you guys, like there's a whole catalog of what you should wear in different seasons. Like I don't even know that was like a thing when you teach. I'm like, you know what I mean? And so like it's really important, like that miniskirt teacher that we had, like none of the boys in the class could focus because, especially because she was old and like she was like not their age, so it's just like, you know, like it's something you can't focus. And then the other thing too that I just remembered is like when they can't focus and then they talk about it all the time. So every time you come in the classroom, you'll be like, that one time when she was wearing that, remember? And that's all you're gonna think about is that one time you made that one impression. So it's just really important to make sure you keep your standards when you're teaching in the classroom. And so now we're gonna do groups. So there's not really like a lot. I thought Claire was gonna be here, so we'll just have Eric, Jack, and Tuli be 1, and then Chelsea and Jonah be 2. And then you guys, the ones are going to discuss the section you are treated as the way you're dressed, and then the 2s are gonna look at the section of the advertisement and forum. And then you're gonna write about it and then the ones and the twos will teach each other after. So there. So Chelsea and Jonah, and then the three of you guys are partners. Does that make sense?
Yep. I've had like
So if you're one in there, Brother Shu, make copies, you're going to be looking at you are treated as you are dressed, and then dress for respect. Those are the ones you're going to be looking about and discussing. And then if you're two, you're going to be looking at you are walking advertisement, and then, preparing students for the world. And then after about 10 to 5 minutes, that should be in there. Is it in there?
I have already treated you were treated as you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It
you
doesn't
have,
mean
Treated
it's
as you were
easier.
dressed.
no, so
You
you
don't
have
miss
this
a
one.
second chance to make first impression.
So you have this one. Sorry, we
Interviewers
just covered
tell
that.
us
So you have this
they
one,
make an initial judgment on
and then
their
you'll be
meeting.
looking.
Salespeople know they have
Others.
7 seconds to make an impression. Effective
And you'll be
teachers
going
know
over.
that the clothes they wear and the smile they
Preparing-
dress
So we're reading
just
all
as
of that?
if
No,
they
just
are
preparing the world
persons
underneath,
see
and
when
then
they are greeted at the door.
and
Make
then
no
walking
mistake,
out.
we
Sorry,
judge
you
others
copied
by their
everything.
dress. And they
So
judge
you're
us
just
too.
just-
It may not be
walking
fair,
advertisement.
it may not be right, so people
So I'll pull that one.
tend to treat others
No, you're fine, I
equal
just-
to their
So
dress.
looking at this,
Common
and then
sense.
this.
Okay.
You
That's
will
all you
be
have to do.
treated as
And then
you
what are we
are
doing?
dressed.
So then you just write about what you're wearing.
Okay.
Sees 2 shoppers approaching, one
Oh, yes.
appropriately dressed,
Okay.
and the
So
other
first,
inappropriately
you are
dressed.
walking,
You
talking.
know very well who will
Um,
get intimidated,
This may be a
who will
superficial
get
photo,
immediate
but
investors. How much
let's say,
credibility
what
would a bank
if
have
we
if
just
a
like
teller
maybe not
processes
say-
a paycheck, was dressed in jeans and wore a t-shirt, emblazoned with the slogan, "Poverty sucks"? An idea, in an ideal world, it would be wonderful to be accepted for ourselves alone, not for our parents. But in a real world, in the real world, however, our all too invisible selves are under constant scrutiny. Okay, what was the other part that we're supposed to read?
Sorry, what should be the whole thing? So it's you read that, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just the bottom of this, and then that one, sorry, and then we're underneath. It's just right here, dress for respect. So that okay. The rest they read,
Okie dokie.
and that's the catalog thing. So I don't know who wrote that too. That just this.
No, I was just joking because some of them are
Oh really?
Okay, and it says here, the fact is, most people think that the cover of the book, or that the cover of the book, the box front, is the cereal, and the leather jacket is the person. Oh, makes sense. We all make judgments. We look at someone and judge status, income, and occupation. It is not what, but it is but.
It's not what it is, but what is perceived.
Our lessons on reading. Alright. Dress for respect. Clothing may not make a person, but it can be a contributing factor in making a person. Whether we want to admit it or not, our appearance affects how we perceive and receive in different ways. Clothing has nothing to do with students liking a teacher. But clothing definitely has an effect on students' respect for a teacher. And respect is what a teacher must have if learning is to take place. Research reveals that the clothing worn by teachers affects
Yeah, we're just reading.
the work attitudes of students. You dress for 4 main effects: respect, credibility, acceptance, and authority. The effective teacher uses these 4 traits as assets in relating to students, peers, administrators, parents, and the community. If you have these 4 traits, you will have a much greater chance of influencing young people to learn than someone who lacks these 4 traits. You can be sure that students notice how their teachers are dressed in the same way they notice the appropriateness of their own and each other's dress. Kids see their parents go to work each day dressed in business attire or institutional uniforms. Then they come to school and observe the attire of teachers, professionals who are considered middle class, intellectuals with college degrees, competent people with teaching credentials. You can see why the teaching profession has a difficult time gaining respect and credibility. You can also see why some teachers have great difficulty reaching and influencing students. And if teachers cannot reach students or teaching or learning, if teachers cannot reach students, no teaching or learning will take place. Not only are these teachers unable to reach students, but they also leave school at the end of the day frustrated over their own inadequacies. These inadequacies are evident in how they dress. For when you select your clothes each day, you're making a statement about yourself to the world. Make no mistake about reality. Teachers have a responsibility to encourage learning, and learning begins by gaining and keeping the respect of students. Your respect begins with your grades.
What standard does this fall under?
Standards? It doesn't. I didn't do Common Core standards. I didn't have to. We don't have to write any of these lessons plans, but we should say. Me and him were just looking at this book.
Minus.
So,
What was yours called?
effective teachers.
What are you supposed to do now?
So after you read everything and discuss everything, you're gonna write down what you learned, key points, because the guys are twos and they're ones. So it's a jigsaw method, so you guys are gonna teach the ones and the ones are gonna teach you what they learned.
Should we just start putting things on?
Effective teachers, no,
So,
clothes,
So
smile. Addresses their face and personal.
so number one, it's not superficial.
So that's first impression. We don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
It keeps you from self-destructing the first few seconds.
The other, you agree with it or not, you were judged by your appearance.
Ties equal success. Or equal respect. Nice job. Nice depiction.
Judged.
The equal respect.
Uh-huh.
By our appearance.
I think it's JUG.
J-U-G-G-E, judged.
Judged by.
You are a role model for the students.
Wait, what was that?
I feel like pick up the pen. So it's easier.
My mom's elected, she writes them.
You set the tone for the class. That's the last one.
They may not,
Oh, yeah.
students may not listen to what we say.
They
We
never
are not
did
there.
it a year ago.
Alright, mine says. It
Students.
is universally
unique.
agreed that one
Not
education school is
listen.
prepared for young
If
people
they are
in tomorrow's
distracted, blah, 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 blah.
If everybody listened to the fizz.
Say.
Frizz.
The Fushnikins?
Frizz.
Students may not listen to what you say.
Match school bus.
And Musubi?
I can't second guess that.
Okay,
Standard
students.
right now.
Listen to what we say if you are not dressed appropriately.
That's the word. Just a little.
Are not.
Okay, so there's the 20 points on the grading thing for our presentations. What are we supposed to do with that? Are we supposed to submit something or like watch the video?
What else?
Is it
Is
reflective?
it- No, it's a.
About 2 more minutes.
Ooh.
Did you just break it back?
Basically.
Okay, so how about this,
I can't lost my face.
That's good, we gotta add that
Yeah.
back in for
so this is a.
Respect.
Saxon.
Chelsea, are you guys good?
Yeah.
Okay, so ones and twos, just go together and then teach each other what you learned. So you're gonna teach them what your section was and they're gonna teach you what your section is. Then when you guys discuss it, then I'll call on someone from the, just to be able to explain it.
Good. We're the ones, so we can go first if you would like. I don't.
Go for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna let Julie explain a couple of these things.
Okay, so the first thing that we discussed, and it really, like, a huge thing in the beginning of the section was that there are no second chances on first impressions. So it's either, especially, I can think of when you're going in for a job interview. You know, the first thing that they look at is appearance. So if they are basing, you know, hiring you off of that and you are not dressed the way that they want you to for that job, most likely you will not get a call back.
So to back that up, this says here, effective teachers know that the clothes they wear and smile that dresses their face are the first things that students see when they review that door, but it's also the first thing that other teachers, parents, and administrators see.
The second thing is that we are judged by our parents, so I'll go to what Eric was sharing. Students may not listen to what you say if you are not dressed appropriately.
That goes back into, you know, two things. One of being distracted by what the teacher is wearing. If you're the student, you're distracted by, you know, too many colors, whatever, or too much skin showing or whatever can be a distraction for students. So, I'm sure.
So one time I had a teacher who didn't shower.
That's also a distraction.
Holy.
And that's part of your dress.
We can,
as well.
yeah, it's part of
Deodorant is important.
your
She only wore
appearance
deodorant.
and like how you should present yourself.
Exactly. Presentation.
That just like came to mind, thought I should share it.
I appreciate that.
Awesome. Also says students may not listen to what you say if you're not dressed appropriately. And that's basically what we talked about, kind of that distraction level. If you're not dressed appropriately. The distraction focuses you on something else rather than the content.
Nice.
So lastly, our last section here was dress for respect. And here it says, research reveals that clothing worn by teachers affect the work, attitude, and discipline of the students. So you dress for the four main effects. That you want respect, you want credibility, you want acceptance, and you want authority. So while you're up there doing your teaching, the last thing the student should be thinking about is the fact that the teacher smells or looks funny or looks funky and they're giggling in the corner making fun of you with other students instead of paying attention to your lesson.
True.
So that's pretty much what we have in group one.
Wow.
Sorry I didn't start with the roll off, but
So,
I hope you guys felt
Hello, group 2. Then you can start.
Okay. Number one, your appearance is not superficial. Okay?
But
So, first of all, it keeps you from self-destructing your first day. For example, if a teacher were to wear flip-flops to class with a white shirt and tie, they would probably give him like a nickname as like the flip-flop man or something. Mr. Floppy. Mr. Flippy Floppy. Number two, if you wear a tie, it means you respect your job, you respect your students, and your students will respect you. To a certain extent, that will be true based on your tie. You are also a role model for the students. The students not only look to their peers, but they will also look at adults. And a lot of times their peers aren't doing the best things they should be. So we gotta be in there before their peers get there and like help them to be good people and to dress for success. you set the tone for the class as well. So if you are dressing like it's, I don't know, time to go to the beach, the students are going to be thinking about the beach, thinking about board shorts, and that's a shame. The student success is, you can link it back to lots of things, and one of those is your appearance.
Also, prepare students for the world and specific careers, and you should do research on how people dress places so you know when you're educated and you can help better your students by setting that example. And your appearance is a nonverbal message to people. You're telling people something, even
Saying
by,
without saying.
yeah, just your looks, because people are judgmental, so obviously.
True.
And then lastly, it tells people if you care about yourself or not. Again, judgmental, but yeah, that's what we
Should be learning to be the judges of ourselves.
use.
So you guys good? Yes, are we teaching each other that? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So, like we can see, and like you guys read, it's really important for you to dress correctly in your classroom. So, it's like respect there, and even if you have a certain type of what's it called, like way you dress, it's okay, like to wear that kind of stuff. Like you don't have to go by the stereotypical shirt and tie kind of thing with teachers. As long as you know what you're teaching and you respect yourself, then you'll be good. And also to have confidence in what you wear. That was like a big thing in the book. Like a lot of teachers, they think what they're doing and what they're saying, like they're like half of you guys look like you don't care what I'm saying right now. But you have to be confident in what you wear, what you say, and what you do in front of the classroom, because that's how you're gonna get your teachers. I mean, not your teachers. Sorry, I keep thinking you guys are already teachers. Get your students to learn. It's having confidence, and that's a really big thing, even in your clothing, because your clothing is showing that you have confidence in yourself. And so, to close it, there's a quote in the book that I like, and it says, "As you are dressed, so shall you be perceived, and as you are perceived, so shall you be treated." So for your exit pass, all of you guys are going to write or answer this question on a note card. Let me keep it to yourself because we don't want it. But just answer it. And then, yeah, you guys know how to dress now.